This meeting is being recorded.
Hello. Welcome to RamGoatAstrology. I'm Laura Lee.
Hi, I'm Helena, and today on the show we have two guests from the same school that me and Laura went to, and actually you all went to the same class together.
Yes.
We have Christina and we have Tara. Welcome.
I just say Tara.
Sorry, Tara. So
welcome. Where in the world are you ladies? Tara, you want to start?
Yes, I am in Bozeman, Montana.
Excellent. And you did Deborah Silverman's applied astrology school, level 1 and 2?
And 3.
And 3. You did level 3
you
as well.
did 3.
Awesome. Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Christina, where are you in the world?
I am in Merritt Island, Florida.
And you've been on the show before. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. And we have these ladies on today because we are celebrating our 1-year podcast anniversary.
Podcast anniversary, yes. It's been a year.
It's been
so fast. Yes.
Yeah, there's no way I could have done this without the goat part of the ram and goat. I needed that goat to stay stubborn about this.
And I needed the ram to like fuel this with energy.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
It's really a good combination.
Yeah.
And it's good to have like a lot of, now there's 4 astrologers on the show, and that feels so luxurious to like have a group of us together and just talk about what we love maybe the most.
Probably.
Almost the most in the world. Do you feel like do you guys have like do you practice, you were talking a little bit about that you were practicing a little bit of getting more into it, Tara?
Yeah, historically I have always loved astrology and known, like the big 3 and more. I would, do cafe astrology reports and
that's where we all started.
I had my first reading a long time ago, 22 years ago, after my mom died. And and it was incredible. It was so cool.
Can I ask what drew you to it? Do you remember way back when?
My mom liked it. My mom was a Pisces, and she was definitely really tapped in, really intuitive. So I think I knew some about it from her, but then I just really liked it too. It just always made sense to me. Not necessarily from the newspaper, but just, reading more about it. Yeah, something in me just always knew that it was cool and true. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Christina, you talk and think in astrology frequently. I know that. Do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember what first drew you in?
I was thinking about it. I think it was people, I would see it on social media because I was starting to get into tarot, and then naturally some astrology stuff would start popping into my feed, and whatever I would see, I'd just be like, oh my gosh, I have to learn more. Like, I want to know more. I just want to know what they're talking about, So it was just like an immediate, like, I want to dive in and know everything. Very Aquarian, kind of draw towards it. Yeah.
Give me all the knowledge.
Yes.
And it feels like with astrology, do you guys feel the same, that you learn more and then you realize, but there's even more, and there's even more, and there's even more? Like, it's just the most vast ocean of knowledge.
Yes.
We all look like bobbleheads.
Yeah. Yes.
So true. So true.
Much. You can really you can dive deep into so many different things, and I'm sure there's things about astrology that I've never even heard about.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you guys nerd in on any specific things? Do you have like your favorite thing to look at when you look at a chart?
It depends on the chart for me. I just kind of I look for themes that are repeating, and things, that just, I don't know, it seems it's a little intuitive, like, for this person, like Pluto is really big, or for this person, wow, I see this Uranus in this position. It really depends on the chart, but
it's just so different.
Yeah.
Christina, what about you? Anything specific you look for, or aspects, or asteroids? Or...
I feel like that's always evolving too, where there's periods of time I'm focusing on this or that, but it'll also happen to be coming up in, like, there'll be themes in everyone's charts that, like, this group of charts I'm looking at this week or month seem to all have a similar theme. So I feel like it's just always evolving and changing with what I'm learning and what I'm looking at and who I'm looking at. And yeah, I don't know.
I would agree.
What about you, Laura?
It's for me, it's a specific topic I'm looking for. So this is how I've always learned astrology is I'll be going through something in my life and I'm like, what is it? What is it? And then I'll pull up my chart. And I remember doing this real late at night, like while nursing the babies or something, right? And it's dark and it's real quiet in the house. And that's when I can actually take in information. And I'll pull up my chart and I'll look for the specific aspect that I'm searching for. I don't know what it is, but that's where like kind of spirit or my intuition guides me. All of a sudden I'll find like, ooh, Neptune and Sagittarius in the 7th house. I don't know if I've researched that in a while. So then I'll go dive into like 75 articles and I'll pull certain themes from the articles and kind of create my own interpretation. And then that will, interestingly enough, coincide with what I was going through or what I'm looking for. So there's a little bit of intuition, but it's usually a specific area of life or thing I'm going through. If it's transformation, of course, I'm always looking for Pluto and seeing what's going on there. But yeah, that's just kind of been how I've learned astrology, is just looking for specific planets. If it's, school or learning stuff, I'll turn to Mercury or Gemini stuff or Virgo stuff. So that's how I've done it. How about you?
Yeah, I feel like I have a thing for Chiron and Pluto, like really just like, I think it's because I learned so much about myself with that. And specifically, I like looking, just looking at transits as well, seeing if Pluto has touched these people, in the last couple of years, because I've been through that and I know what it's like. And so I think I like looking at that just because I want to give them the relief that, okay, I can see that you had a really hard time, because I myself got like just this huge relief from learning about my Pluto transits and like, I get it now. So
Tina, you get that, don't you? You're such a Pluto person in your chart.
I'm like, oh, it just like, as you're talking about this, I'm like, oh yeah, not everybody goes through this craziness I'm going through. Oh yeah.
Transformation.
Christina's birthday is like a week and a half after my husband's. And so every time he's going through something big, I always think about her like next, right? Like it's coming to get her next.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been constant. Ugh.
It has. Now, Tara, you have been interested in astrology for a long time, but you went to school recently, as we all did. What drew you to learning more through school?
Well, so the story I always tell is I was doing a different conference for some body work, somatic experiencing. Is that what it's called? Essential somatics. I always get confused. Essential somatics. Yeah. So it's like Feldenkrais. And so I was at this conference in Reno, and it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, right before, like it was over that February 29th weekend. And while I was there, it was, really great, just body work thing. But there was this young girl. She was like 27 years old. And we were, we kind of hit it off, and we're talking. I was like, well, what do you do? And she said, I'm an astrologer. And, I'm like, oh yeah. And in my head, it was like explosion, like, oh my God, this young person can just like have the courage to study astrology and to claim that as, what she does for a living, and does that, like, what? My mind is blown. Like, how did she have the whatever that takes to do that? It's like, I would love that. That would be so amazing. And so that was in 2020. And then what year did we start? Was it 2021 or 2022? 2022. Anyway, so I think I was kind of percolating. I'd been in the 11th house community for probably 5 years. Okay. And I loved reading like Lori, what's her face, and Jason Foreman, and all their interpretations. I'm like, God, these people are really smart. They know so much about astrology maybe this Deborah Silverman thing is really good. And I would do some of the trial stuff free, but it seemed expensive to me. But then somehow just leading into that January of 2022, which it turned out was my nodal return, which I found out afterward, connected that dot, but I just was like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do it. Level 1. I'm just going to do level 1. And I got a like half price scholarship or something, I think. And yeah, so I did it. And then, I just had to keep going.
So for you,
Yes,
it
all
sounds
three.
like it was really the boldness of somebody else coming out and saying that really kind of sparked that for you.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know that Glennon Doyle, that in What Becoming or whatever it's called, that book, there's one place in there, she said, look at your envy, wherever the places are that you have envy, and that's your indicator arrow, like of what you want to go for. It's like I was so envious of her, like to have the courage and gumption and
To claim
confidence.
that. Yeah.
Yes, to claim it. It's like, well, clearly that's what I want for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's similar to my path. It's I was really, really looking for other people for a long time, for other people to speak this language with. I knew I spoke the language well. I knew I understood it well. And nobody in my life spoke the language. It was like I was really fluent in this really awesome language and I couldn't talk to anybody about it. And it was so frustrating. And I really think I'd been manifesting school for a long time. And then apparently I had signed up for Deborah's free 10-day thing. And I have no memory or recollection of signing up for that. Zero memory. I just got an email that says, yeah, like your 10-day class starts on Monday. And I was like, what 10-day class?
Which one?
And it was the first class that I ever really, since having my kid and stuff like that, I really set aside time and made it happen. And I remember like bringing my laptop and my headphones to the library while one of my kids is at band and the other ones are over here. And I'm like trying to tune in because it was like oxygen to me. I couldn't get enough of it. And I knew then that was like, this is my tribe, right? I need to speak this language with these people. And then shortly after that, I came out of the closet as an astrologer because I had found other people who also claimed that, right? And I, similar to you, like I was kind of envious, like I want that. And then finally when I did, it felt so good. Like all the vibrations in my body all got into tune and into alignment. And it was like, and my Mars in Libra was finally peaceful for once. Christina, what about you? How did you know school was for you?
I really feel like it's like I was so wanting to do it and it was so interesting, but all of my Capricorn and Virgo at that time, like, same time, about 2020, 2021, where I was really starting to get into it, I had to take such baby steps where it was like, okay, well, I'll start with this interview. And I feel the same as Laura, where I was like so excited to like sit down and start learning this. And oh my God, like it was just so fascinating, but I had to just keep taking bigger and bigger leaps. Like, okay, now I can sign up for level 1 finally. Like it's, just the money commitment. And am I supposed to be doing this? I feel like I'm supposed to be doing all these other things and no one does this. You know what I mean? It just weird. Felt like I had to keep taking this gradual, like jumping in. And now I'm like fully in, I'm an astrologer, but gosh, it took so much like easing into the weirdo pool. You know what I mean? I was so just like, I'm so earth, like you do all these things. I've had to gradually allow myself to be that more Aquarian, astrologer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it. And Helena, what got you into school? What made you say yes?
I've been into astrology for so long, but what made me say yes, I think it just came to that point where I just could not say no, like I had to. That's what I think. Because I did the interview a couple of years ago, and then it just came to that time. And I think I had something on my North Node as well. It's funny that you said that, Tara. I don't remember what it was, but something, I think it was Jupiter on my North Node in Pisces.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
actually when I started class level 1.
That's
Yeah,
big
so I
placement to
guess
have.
that's exactly what it felt. I felt like I was just drawn to, like I just had to. And it was so much fun, but also remember feelings like overwhelmed, you know, in the beginning with everything. And I'm like, I'm never gonna learn this. You know,
It's a lot. It's a
it's a
lot
lot. But
to learn
now
a new language. Yeah.
know a lot.
Yeah.
Now we know a lot. It's 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 amazing. Yeah, just to keep learning this language, learning more words in this language, and just being more and more fluent.
Yeah. I love that.
Mm.
So diving in more personally, we all, I'm sure, have studied our charts a million times in a million different ways. But only we are living our chart, right? Like only we know that when we're doing something during our day and we're like, there's that thing, right? There's that aspect, there's that, right? Whatever it is. So what particular aspect do you have in your chart that you find the most challenging, and why? Like, how does it show up for you? Which one of you has an answer for that one?
I think I have an answer.
Go for it.
Well, so in general, I really tend to embrace the hard things, and I think somehow in many ways, like the things that can be hard for people are really lovely for me. Like I think my Saturn return was really lovely. I have Saturn in Pisces in the 7th, which some people will say that Saturn in the 7th is really hard. But I met my husband when I was 25, and we've been married, just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary, and we've been together 32 years. So that Saturn shows up in that longevity and kind of commitment, you know. And he has a Capricorn rising, you know. So I think I was drawn, instead of somebody older, it was somebody who had Capricorn in him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And me with my 10th house stellium, even though I'm a Cancer, 10th house stellium. So Saturn is sort of lovely for me, and Pluto is in my 12th house, and I put conjunct Uranus, and I love that placement too. So some of the things that other people might find hard, I actually really like those things.
I just want to pause. I love that. I love what you just did, because I do similar things, and I love how you just took this, like, normally people doom and gloom these things, and I think they're freaking beautiful. Like,
yeah, one of the girls last night, she had a 4-planet 12th house stellium, and I was like, ooh, oh my God. Like, so a lot of people might think this is really hard, and, you know, and I'm sure that there are hard things for you, but I think it's a superpower to have a 12th house stellium like this. I only have 2 planets in my 12th house, and, like, you know, I think they're amazing. So yes, yeah. So I love the transformative parts, and embracing and trusting your chart, you know, trusting the hard things that, you know, that are meant to bring you closer to where you're supposed to be. But the one thing, and I love Chiron, like you were saying, I really love Chiron too, just to help people to find where they can dig in and heal, and then hopefully go forward and heal others. And so I mentioned I have autoimmune disease, and it impinges on my activity. I have a first house moon. I'm like, I've always been really athletic, and I love to process through, like, my athleticism. I can still ride my bike, but I can't walk long distances. Anyway, blah blah blah. But I think it's Chiron in my damn 6th house, and I just, you know, I haven't quite figured it out yet, you know. So I know that once I do, it will be that beautiful thing. But while I'm still in the midst of it and it's still affecting me physically, it kind of drives me crazy. So, so that, I would say, is my hardest aspect that I am not in love with right now.
right.
Once I can look back on it and I'm healed, then I will. But right now, no.
I can see that. I can see where Chiron in the 6th house, really anything because I do health coaching, but anything in the 6th house can really trigger some major health issues. And Chiron there, especially, that's like, you came into this earth school with like a little suitcase full of pain and garbage to deal with in your health and service, and learning how to be of service to your own physical body in this earth existence is part of that healing journey for you, which is why you've got so much that Cancer stellium. You've got so much compassion for yourself, right?
Yep.
So turning that around, I love that. That is a tough one, though. I will hand you that. I got Uranus in the 6th house, and that would definitely, that nervous system in your house of health opposite your moon is really a fun one. Every
anxiety.
time my emotions get triggered, my nervous system gets triggered, my stress levels go up. Every time my stress levels go up, I turn into emotional nutcase, right? Like, it's just like, I can't have one without the other. They're constantly battling. And it is, again, that 12th house, 6th house access. So I have health issues slash spiritual past life, generational trauma stuff triggering it, right? Woo-hoo! And it's this Gemini Sag energy. So it's a lot of fire and air. That would definitely be my agitating one that just, it is agitating, like legit. That energy leads to this aggravation and irritation in my body, in my system. And that Virgo house, that 6th house, having your nervous system there, that's a massive trigger to get very stressed out when your physical environment isn't okay, right? When there's clutter and there's overwhelm and visual overwhelm, I get very triggered nervous system, which triggers my emotions, which turns me into a really raging big bitch. It's not fun. Christina's gotten a couple Marco Polo videos when I'm like that. That's my aspect. Christina, what's your irritating aspect?
Oh gosh, I'm like, I feel like I guess I know, I'm like, and again, like, I like, they're all, they have their moments. They're all great in some ways. I'm like, my Jupiter conjunct Uranus conjunct IC recently. I just feel like, and again, Laura, we go back and forth about this, talking about it, where just like, I love my Uranian energy. I love that I'm very Aquarian. But at the same time, sometimes everything's always so chaotic, and like, conjunct my IC, conjunct Jupiter. It's like my home can be very chaotic. Huh?
How close are those?
It's like Jupiter's at 1, Uranus is at 7, IC is at 2.
Okay, so they're pretty tight.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just sometimes the chaos is like, why all the time? And then my Virgo is like, I just want things organized and efficient, and that, and then again, that Virgo can be so hard because it's like,
judgy.
It just wants things the way it wants things. Just wants
So
it.
are those things in the sign of Virgo?
Sorry, no, it's I have a Virgo moon and rising. So
Okay,
that
so what sign is
squaring.
the
That's on Sag to make it even bigger.
Okay. Yeah.
So
your
yeah,
Jupiter,
so it's just that doesn't feel good with the Virgo.
Your Jupiter, your IC conjunct, and your Uranus are all in Sag, and then you have a Virgo moon and Virgo rising.
Yeah, they're all squaring each other.
Those don't get along.
Yeah. No, it's just, like that's the Virgo wants things just so nice and organized and just done, and then I'm so chaotic. I am. So there we go.
So it's that thing, the tension that you have to learn, I guess, in this lifetime to sort of tame or find some kind of, how they can work with each other, find the perfect merge.
I'm guessing astrology has helped you really accept yourself in a lot of these situations.
Oh yeah. Because I used to think like, why am I this way? Why am I this way? Why are they so different? Why now it's like, okay, they're both separate parts of me, and that's okay.
Yeah. This is where I find astrology, and Helena and I have talked about this for well over a year now, is really accepting yourself. Really accepting yourself and go, oh yeah, look, I am anal retentive and want to be organized, and look, I'm a nut job too. You have to just be okay with it,
I love it. I love it for just being okay, being different, like those things that we feel like we're so different to everyone else. And I'm sure a lot of people have something that they feel very different to the norm, and then just looking at your chart and saying, oh, but I'm supposed to be that way.
Right.
Oh, who am I to fight it?
Yeah, that's my map.
Yeah.
Helena, what irritates you about your chart?
Okay, so I have both my moon and my ascendant in Capricorn, which makes me I can be a little bit like glass half empty. So when I think about my chart, I was talking to a couple of friends yesterday about this, like what's your favorite point in your chart? And I was thinking in my head like, favorite, I don't like any of that. Like, I was so negative about my own, it's just like my sometimes that ascendant does that to me, like the view I have on the world, it just is a little bit negative, a little bit too square. And I'm a very creative person, but so I feel so like boxed in sometimes by this Capricorn-ness.
Yeah.
That
You have to like get through the filter.
Yeah.
Get the Capricorn filter into the good, the juicy stuff in there.
Yeah. And I have to work really hard. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm very realistic,
Yes, too realistic.
Too realistic. And it's really hard to be emotional and to be vulnerable with friends. And that I've almost lost friends that way because I couldn't be, they felt like I wasn't open with them. And I wasn't not open. I was just being me, being a Capricorn moon, and like, what is open? What do you mean? So, but I've learned from astrology that I have to work hard at opening myself up and being vulnerable, because that doesn't happen by itself.
I think
so that's pretty hard.
Capricorn moons tend to show their emotions in more of in general, just a colder way. It's not that you're cold people. It's not that you are not caring. It's just you have to work hard to really showcase the warmth, right? Like Cancer moons typically don't have to work hard on that. They have to work hard on, not showcasing that. So I think it's just that once you create awareness, okay. And anytime you have this awareness, then you can go, this is that situation where I got to push through and lean into that softening, right? Lean into the softer side, or the higher vibrational side, or, whatever. So that's where I love astrology, just for that learning and growth. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a realization, I think it was maybe yesterday also, about that Capricornness, and that that I realized that a lot of my friends, I have them actually through projects together, and it's because I'm so much Capricorn that is my way of keeping my friends, like you, Laura. Like, we see each other every week because of this.
Because we work together.
Because we work together, and I have this project in the park, and I meet my friend there, and we see each other, and we work with the park stuff. And doing things just for fun with friends is a little bit harder. So it's like, okay, but I can accept, I just have to start projects with my friends, and then it will be okay. Because then I will.
Tara, do you feel that with your 10th house stellium?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I can see that. I can play. I have a lot of Gemini. My Mars is in Gemini. My Venus is in Gemini. So I am pretty fly by the seat of my pants too. But yeah, totally. It helps me if I engage, for a reason. Yeah, I have that too. I like that. I know. I always tell people when they, like the disparate parts, but when you have that Capricorn energy, that's like I always kind of inside of yourself, you have this like kind of like a team in a work setting, and you've got the person who's really gregarious and can really start things up and network, and then you've got the person who's really detail oriented, and then you've got, but all within inside of you, not necessarily everybody has this, but usually you have some different parts, and so you can call on the parts of yourself for those things. If you have like a great idea, you've got the Aries part of yourself that's going to initiate and get things going, and then you need that other part of you that has the structure and can see the steps that are going to need to be put into place in order to actually make the thing happen. So it's like, just call on those different aspects of yourself, so use that Capricorn structure, because that structure is beautiful. Otherwise, chaos.
That's really, really good advice to just just like you said, I'm sort of imagining now, like I have a team inside of me, which are all of these different planets and all the different signs, and I can just say to that CEO, like, okay, step back, let the other people show themselves, let the Cancer energy come out and be soft and be creative. That person's a little bit shy, just make some space.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
It really
exactly.
helps to have that visual, to have the visuals of that.
Right. And then
Big
you can,
time.
like Deborah would always say, you know, put that person in the back seat, that the CEO person, like, I'm
Yeah.
going to need you. Don't worry. We're going to
Yeah.
need you. But right now isn't the time, because
But you don't get to take up real estate up in the front of the bus right now. You get in the
not right
back.
now, because your structure is actually going to kill the creative process. Like, you know,
Yeah.
we need your structure once we get the idea in full formation, you know, but right now you need to sit back there and let the idea grow, you know, in that crazy, slippery creative process that needs more space and fluidity.
I want to
Yeah.
touch
I love
on
that.
I want to touch on this. I think this is somebody really wants me to, someone's talking. We're real loud, like right in the back of my head. This is why certain people, or why a lot of humans, tend to turn towards substances, right? Whether it's cannabis or alcohol or, LSD or whatever, people turn towards substances. And humans have been doing this since the dawn of time to, I think, suppress certain parts of themselves and let other parts come out, right?
Absolutely.
Some people need just one major experience to shift, right? And some people use every day, some people medicate with big pharma, whatever it is. Humans have been attempting to let certain people out and put certain people down, and I'm using the term people in reference to the various, zodiac signs inside of us, and to create that, hopefully, harmony and peace that we're all striving for inside of ourselves. That's, I think, why so many people in our country specifically, and in my state of Wisconsin, drink a whole lot of alcohol, right? Because it takes that hardworking, controlling person and puts them in the back of the bus, and lets the fun person that likes to just be and woo, right, come out more. And so now I'm not judging on healthiness or unhealthiness or anything. I'm just specifically saying I love what you're saying, Tara. And I think humans have been striving for that for a long time. So it's not just like, oh, I can just pull this out, right? Like a lot of people work very hard to reach some of these energies that are really suppressed, whether through generational trauma or through, teachings of the church or whatever, has suppressed certain parts of us and has forced other parts to get, come out in other ways. So I love that what you're saying. We do all carry all of the zodiac signs in us. I don't have any earth in my chart, but clearly I know how to activate it. Look at all you earthy people, right? Right. So I think that's a really great topic to dive into, is, just the various substances humans have used over existence to bring these parts out.
But can I just ask you some advice then, because I have you all here now? I feel like now in my life I feel very Capricorny, like more than before, and I'm not like a manager or anything like that at work, but I do have some sort of like a leader role, and I feel like that brings out even more of my Capricornness, and it's too much. I feel like it's too much. So if someone has a lot of, like, I have my sun and my moon there, maybe I should be not looking for those places. I should be looking for other things, because those things will come so naturally. I don't really.
I would say,
No, yeah.
The wheels on the element car that Deborah always talks about, the 4 wheels on the car, so like whenever I'm going over that part of the chart with people, I just say, this is fire, this is air, this is earth and water. And these are how many plants you have. And so by the table, you look like you might not have this, but it could be very strong, like just in a self-assessment based on what I've just told you, like, how do you see yourself? And going forward, just periodically do a little self-assessment and feel if you're weaker in one of those areas at any given time, because it can fluctuate so much during your life. And then, it's like, great, you've got your earth activated and strong because of your job. So find a way to, activate your fire in the morning, like go put on some awesome dance music and just dance wildly or crazy, or go swimming, activate your water, like do whatever it is that you feel like you're less strong in, because you're so strong. And you don't have to like quit your job or do less of that. You can keep that, but then you just have to balance it other ways.
Do you guys feel the same about some of your strong positions? That it's like, oh, it's too much of this. I need to like shy away from it. Like I have to like
all the time.
all the time.
Your
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, but mostly my air, because there's so I'm 64% air, so it doesn't take a whole lot of fire to go right. Like it's like if you're having a little campfire and all of a sudden it blows outside of the fire pit, and now all of a sudden there's all of Maui is on fire, right? Like it doesn't take much for me to get really big, really fast and burn the house down. And so this is why I frequently sit my ass on the floor. Like literally, if I'm feeling overwhelmed or I want to yell or like I'm getting frustrated and the energy wants to come out, I will throw myself onto the floor, because you look like an idiot when you're yelling from a seated position. You really do. You really look stupid yelling at people to do stuff when you're on the floor in a cross-legged
Humbling.
Yeah, exactly. So I do tune into the lack of earth a lot, and I will go outside and I will sit on the ground or even just lay down. So that's what I do. Christina, how about you?
Well, I was gonna say, like with Helena, with the Capricorn, because I'm a Capricorn Sun and Venus, I have learned, especially with that Pluto going through Capricorn, I've learned I have to put my Capricorn like to work. Like when you said I have to work at, and I forget specifically what you were like saying, but like I have to like give my Capricorn a job. Like it's not enough to be like, you have to get out of the front seat. Like, okay, now you're in the back seat, but guess what? Your job now is to look out the window and have fun. Like I have to still very specifically give my Capricorn energy a task to work on, even if it's just having fun. Like this is your job now, is to have fun. And then I'm like, oh, okay, it can relax. That's the only time I've noticed that all my Capricorn
I love that.
will relax. So I just wanted to make sure that I imparted that to you, because man, that's been helpful for me. So
that's so
like
great.
Australian shepherds. You got to give an Australian shepherd a job.
Okay, I was thinking
they have to have something.
That is really great. Yeah, because and I can feel myself too. Like yes, that would work, because Capricorn loves just getting a task, getting it like oh, what do I do? What's my job?
Yeah, or if you have to say, okay, now Capricorn, your job is to delegate very well these different tasks, then maybe that will help you be like, okay, I don't have to be like, yes, I'm the leader, but I don't have to feel like I'm completely running it by, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, just start, I'm going to do the best I can at this now. So yeah.
I love that.
I really do. And just like Tara said, the Australian Shepherd, I had a Border Collie in my head, but same thing. We had a Border Collie for 15 years. And if she wasn't, playing ball or hurting something or whatever, we had to have her like laying down and like looking at us, right? We had to put her in a lay down position and be like, it's rest time now. And she'd still, while she was resting, she'd still like
resting. It's my job.
I'm ready. Is it still resting? Is it still resting?
Exactly. So that's brilliant. I love that you literally tell your Capricorn, my job now is to have fun. We're playing now. This is playtime.
I love that too.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, because Capricorn is so like square about those things. So yeah, you would need to like, okay, now it's time to have fun. Let's go.
That feels yeah. And then
let's set some goals.
I was going to say, and while you're telling me, so let's say at work, if you're being too Capricorn, you're too in the Capricorn energy at work and you want to have fun, you can work hard on finding games to play with your fellow employees, right? Like work games or something, right? Like work bingo. I don't know if that's a thing, right? We can find something, but you can literally put, again, that task to work, finding fun things to do or community events or whatever. So
yeah, that would work. We actually have that. I came up with a few games or like competitions about making the most money, who would make the most, sell the most things. Yeah,
Still at
and
work.
I'm in charge of the hotel shop there, so that would be it. And I like put all the numbers and the goals on the board, like, look, we're here, we're gonna make it to there, and who sold the most last month, and you're gonna win something.
Oh, such a good cap. I love it. I love it. That's fun. So what aspects do you really love the most about your chart? That's the next question I'm curious about. I know we talked about what irritates you, right? Think in your chart and about what you got going in your life, and what's the thing that you just like, that's just the juicy thing. You're like, oh, I love that placement. That feels so good because. All right, Christina, what you got?
I really like my Mercury in Aquarius. And again, it's so crazy and all over the place, but at the same time, I'm always thankful that, you know, my mind is really quick and smart and learns things fast. And then Pluto's about to be hitting it next year. So wow, that's going to be fun, and let's see what happens. But yeah, I just feel like it's such a great strength. And then once Pluto really transforms it, I feel like it'll be a really great strength, and maybe not so crazy all over the place.
Yeah.
Like ADHD, but you know, I do enjoy it. So
awesome. I like that
Yeah.
one. Tara,
I
what
mean,
you got?
Mercury. Sorry, I just want to say that Mercury Aquarius. That's very like I just think of like it's so genius, that position.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you will have. Do you have like
Electric
sparks of ideas all the time? Like just genius.
I just feel like I pick
ideas.
up on patterns and things so
Yeah.
fast and really
Yeah.
quick, but then it's like my mouth can't keep, it's almost like my mouth can't keep up with everything
With the
going,
thought process.
but that's okay. So yeah, it's just very active.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah. Well, Mercury is also my chart ruler, like you, which I love my Mercury, but it's my Mercury's in Cancer in the 10th house. So it's, you know, I feel like I have a lot of those. It's quick thinking, but it also is thoughtful and, you know, whatever. But I guess my favorite thing is because it just, I always describe it as just keeping me with this buoyancy is Jupiter 7 degrees away, but on my sun. It just is so helpful in life. It's so helpful to just, you know, it's like you just have this writing mechanism that just brings you back up no matter what, like no matter what hard things, you know, I'm a Cancer, I still have some moods, but I don't sit low long, you know, I come back up, and I'm really grateful for that. It's so nice.
Thank you for that. My youngest has his Jupiter on his sun sign. Exact degree. And I can see it showing up in different ways already, even at 4 months old, but I'm so curious to see how this really plays in his life. Like, I know it's going to be good. I get that. And I'm so curious to see how else that shows up. But it does, every time I think about it, I call my little Jupiter boy, but he just like the placement just makes me smile. Just in general.
What house?
He's got 5 planets in the 12th, including his sun and Jupiter. So he's my little psychic baby. He's my little psychic baby.
And an Aries, right? He's an Aries.
Yep. And then he with a Sag moon, so his moon ruler is Jupiter too. So I'm just so curious to see how this manifests. But I've met a couple people with Jupiter conjunct their sun, and it is a big placement. It is a big impact in their life, and it's cool to see.
Lovely.
I'm glad you like that about yours.
It's like a Christmas present for sure. Yeah. And life, you know, a whole life Christmas present. Yeah.
That sounds like it's such a good description, that it's like one of those things. What do you call it? That lifts you up.
I know. Almost like those weevils or something. But I keep thinking of something in water. If you're like kayakers, when they go down and they come back up, or you know, it's just whatever takes you back to buoyancy. You know, just brings you. Whoop! I'm back up. Oh, down for a minute. Up, back up. You know,
it's a great image.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
that.
What house is Jupiter in for you?
10th. Sun and Jupiter and Mercury are all in the 10th.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my 10th house. Everything, because of that Virgo rising, everything in my chart is like, you know, opposite sign, opposite house. So I feel like, yeah, that's a whole other subject, but it gives me this really balanced kind of, you know,
it's like a seesaw.
I always see both sides all the time because I've got the polarities always happening.
Yep. I can see that. That's cool. Helena, what's your favorite sign or position? Or
Yes.
planet?
So the one I like the most is my Mercury in Cancer.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah, it's the only well, no, it's actually not the only water planet I have. I have Pluto in Scorpio, but aside from that, it's the only water planet that I have, and I really like it. I started off not liking it because I just thought of how I was not so good at communicating, because everything is so abstract in my head and it's hard to get it out into words that people understand.
Yeah.
But now I just see it as this thing that I think it makes me really creative, actually. And that, like, that's the reason why I when I draw or when I write, that it just flows. It
Yeah.
really just flows. Yeah. And that I can also sort of disappear. I love to disappear, like, into the water and into, like, my own little bubble, and to be in the water. And I don't have so much water in my chart, so I'm always like, yeah, I just love the water that I do have. So that's the one that
Just
I'm
holding her cup of water. I love that.
yeah. Yeah. And today, when I was really overwhelmed at work, I went to sit by the water. I always go to the water,
Perfect.
or have a shower, or yeah.
Yep.
So that's like the one placement that I'm like, feel proud of, or like, well, I don't know. No, that was problematic. That was a bit problematic. I feel like saying that, but I feel like
It's okay. You can
so
be
much.
proud of it, but grateful,
Yeah.
maybe gratitude.
And I think that's the easiest one for me. That's my most. That's my the placement with the least complicated one, I would say, for me.
That was the best. That
Yeah.
was the Capricorn judging the Cancer. Right there.
I say stuff like that all the time with my Capricorn. I'm like, that's the only good thing. And then I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, wait, back.
Yeah, you just have to laugh about, especially about Capricorners. You just have to laugh.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah. And you, Laura, what about you?
I have there's too much Gemini in me to decide. I have two that keep coming up. One of them is my Mercury, but it's in Pisces. So again, there's the two fish. So I've really learned to embrace the beauty of Mercury in Pisces. Most people are like, well, you can't communicate if you've got Mercury in Pisces. It's not that you can't communicate, it's that you have to be specific about knowing where your opinions lie when you do communicate, right? If you don't have an opinion either way, you have to specifically say, I really actually don't have a decision on that, or can't make a decision on that. My kids will ask me frequently to make decisions. I'm like, nope, decision paralysis. I can't do it. Whereas in the past, I would make one decision or another, and it turned out not to be the way I really felt or the right one. So now I've learned that because of that nebulousness and that fluidity of decision making and communication, I have been able to just go, I'm actually not going to decide on that right now. I don't want to. I don't want to think about that right now. That's too difficult for my decision making process at the moment. But I love the intuitive parts of it. That's really what I've been embracing these last couple of years, is the fact that I do not actually have multiple personality disorder. I actually do have like a gymnasium of people behind me, of spirit land, like I really have an auditorium that I can tune into, and it is not a disorder, right? that I thought I had most of my life and thought I had to hide. Right now I'm like, oh, I'm just legit that tuned in to spirit, and there's just that many people up there, so that's cool. The other one I love really more than anything, and especially since doing Deborah's school and embracing my astrology community people, is my Venus in Aquarius conjunct exactly my MC. So like I love making friends with weirdos through the internet and talking about astrology. Man, if that placement isn't what we're doing right now, I don't know what it is, right? It is literally what I've made my career. It's such a great placement that I don't think I really ever embraced fully until this last, year and a half, because I kept trying to get jobs and hold down jobs for other people. And I'm so accommodating for other people, right? Venus in Aquarius is so accommodating to other people. But when it comes to my work and my career, I could never stay long. So yes, I've had 49 jobs, and no, that's not a made up number. I wish it was, but it's not, because I've literally kept trying, and trying and trying. And I would do so well for just a short time, because then I would get bored.
Yeah.
Right. Like I learned everything I could learn from that job, and I'd get bored, and then I'd move on. And a lot of air signs, I get bored really quickly. So I've now this last year really embraced the Mercury in Pisces in the 11th and the Venus in Aquarius in the 10th. And these two weirdo signs have really kind of merged together with the astrology and health coaching and stuff that I do, to really make me feel so like, oh, I'm finally living in my chart. I'm finally doing what I'm supposed to do, right? Like everything's just like peaceful inside when I'm doing this online community astrology woo-woo stuff. So those are my placements that they just feel so good and juicy sometimes. I just love them.
So inspiring to hear like other people talk about their charts in this way, to like, what do you love about your chart? And it's interesting that, I mean, at least 3 out of 4 we talked about Mercury, like the way we think and communicate. And
that is interesting.
Christina,
where's your Mercury again?
Yeah,
Aquarius.
Yours Aquarius. That's right. Yeah.
And what is yours, Tara?
Cancer.
Oh yeah, it was Cancer. Yeah. What do you think about
and because
that
of
one
my
for you?
Virgo rising, it's my chart ruler. So I very strongly relate to my Mercury, and I'm a Libra moon, so like air, and I definitely feel very mercurial and communicator, air. I have a lot of air.
So all 4 of us have Mercury in a water sign?
No, Mercury, Aquarius.
Air.
Oh, Aquarius. Yep. That's right.
It feels similar though. It's so vast. I'm just like,
yes.
It's
hard to pull the information I need when I need it.
Yeah, like instead of the ocean, it's like space.
Yeah.
Into the vast space.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
And what house is it in, Christina? Which house?
Just barely.
Firehouse.
5th.
Leo. Firehouse.
Nice.
All right.
Well, ladies, if you wanted to give some advice to anybody who has not had a reading or hasn't really dove into their chart, but they're astro curious, what piece of advice would you give somebody that is just kind of on the verge of learning this? What information do you have for them?
I don't know. It's like, take this as your sign to go ahead and like, why wait? It's like, I feel like so many of our stories were like, oh, we were a little bit scared, or we were waiting for sign, or you know what I mean? Like it needed some push. And it's like, if you're at all curious, just go ahead and dive in, because that's what we all did and eventually got here. So you might as well just, whatever it is, like take a class, just keep following social media accounts, get a reading. I don't know, whatever you're called to, just take the leap. That's my advice.
I feel like now it's easier than ever. Like it's so accessible. Like it is everywhere. And I don't know if it's because I do a lot of astrology that I just see it all over the place. Maybe a little bit, but it's also there's so much information and so much like astro content out there. And I think that it's also important to know that everything you read about astrology, you don't have to like take it in as your truth, because there's so many different views of how to read a chart. And yeah, I think that's good, because there is so much also out there. And so always when you take in information, take whatever you think feels right. Absolutely. And then leave the rest, because it might not be true for you, or you might not be ready for that information just now.
Very true.
Yeah 100%. I agree with that. If it's helpful and it feels like it's helping you to embrace yourself and to feel more empowered to be truer to yourself, then it's good. You hear about those astrologers out there. I personally, I haven't really seen or encountered them very much, but maybe it's because our circles are more this Deborah Silverman kind of psychological counseling bent. And then the Instagram accounts and stuff that I follow tend to be more like our style. But you hear about those kind of older gloom and doom kind of, I don't know, hellfire and brimstone kind of astrology. Was like, yeah, that sounds terrible to me. And so I guess, yeah, people should steer away from that. But I don't know. I don't see them. So yeah, take the good. I like that. And then what works for you, just forget about the rest.
Yeah, I think it's super important to know that this is a language, and languages need to be interpreted, right? And if we want to let's use the Bible for an example, right? The Bible was interpreted several different times over from one language into another, right? You know, because we're women in America, we know that the language got misconstrued in certain areas, right? And that also viewing it through the lens of the patriarchal society, right? The interpretation comes out differently. So if you've had a reading from somebody, or if, that didn't feel right, it may not be the right interpretation for you, right. And Tara, you clearly have a great way of spinning it into a higher vibration interpretation, right? And
that's Jupiter.
Yep. And I have seen a lot of people in different astrology groups and stuff I'm in that really doom and gloom stuff. Really ridiculous. Like, oh, my thing's in the 12th house. Am I going to die? I'm like, oh, are you, come on. Like, what in the world? Stop reading those dumb articles, right? Like, that's not the right thing. So I definitely also feel like I take that spin and really aim for, how can I take the lower vibration lesson and lean towards the higher vibration growth, right? Yeah. Those are the ways I do my readings. Like, okay, yeah, bad shit happens. Yep. Really bad shit happens. I've been through it. People have died, marriages have fallen apart, right? Whatever the things are, bad things happen. But that is the experience of Earth School. That's what we're here to experience. So how do you take that quote unquote bad thing and turn it into a peaceful lesson or a harmonious experience, or what, you know what I mean? Like, there are ways to do that. And I think that's where I love to use astrology to really lean into the higher vibration of Scorpio, right? Scorpio is definitely death. Yep. It's also rebirth. It's also transformation and creation and power, right? Like, it's not just death, right? So recognizing that each sign, each element, each house all has vast experiences and vast areas that they cover, right? And yeah, Sagittarius is great and Jupiter is great, but it's not all great. Jupiter can get really obnoxious. Really obnoxious, right? And we've experienced that side too. So even when it's a benefit or a beneficial planet or a beneficial sign, man, those get on your nerves too. So we have to recognize the higher vibration, the lower vibration, and the choice that we have in that, right? Just because an astrologer says so doesn't mean it's your truth. Just like Helena said, it's not your truth. Don't take it. Don't take it.
Exactly.
So this has been so much fun.
Yes.
Thanks so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts or tidbits or anything?
I just want to say to people, like, like we all said, just keep absorbing the information. Like, it's a language, it's a whole world. Just keep absorbing it. And like everyone said, you'll start to realize what you know and what works for you. But
absolutely,
trust that you'll learn the right things at the right time. It's definitely a big layering. You just have, you have to start somewhere with the first layers, and then, yeah.
It is a big layer. We are multidimensional beings in this Earth meat suit here.
Very, very contradictory.
Very, very contradictory. And Earth School is heavy, right? We talk about 3D, and 3D is a heavy energy, and we live in a heavy environment and a heavy planet, and there's a lot of weight on us, and it is exhausting sometimes, right? Which is where we need to lean into that creativity and that play and the lightness of things. So we hope that our podcast helps with that and helps you to see things from a different perspective and lighten things up. And thank you, Tara and Christina, for being on our 1-year anniversary celebration.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
It was
thanks
so
for having
fun.
us.
Thanks.
This was so fun. And if anybody is interested in joining us or wants to chat or get a reading, send us an email, ramgoatastrology@gmail.com, and all of our info's in the show notes. You can buy us a tea or a coffee to financially support the show, or better yet, share it with people. We love seeing our numbers grow each week. They're getting there slowly but surely. We are trekking like the stubborn Capricorn Helena is. We are doing it. So thank you so much for all the support. And ladies, thank you for being on the show. We're so blessed to have known and met all of these lovely people through the internet.
It's so luxurious to sit here with so many astrologers, and like me being one of you. Like this is just great. I want to do this again.
Yeah, definitely. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
love
blessing.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Ram and Goat Astrology. You can support the show by buying us a coffee or a tea. Link in the show notes. Your financial support means the world to us. Join us next time.
Bye.